Hello, everyone, and welcome to a new week of NFL football. As we are so glad to have you joining us here on the Monday Night presented by BetPrep, right here on the Draft YouTube channel. As always, I'm your host, Kelsey Nicole Nelson, joined by the very own Jaime Eisner and Brentley Weissman. And look, each week we join together as a trio to give you all betting tips and trends to make sure you are ready for another football Sunday. And we're hoping to hopefully help you all walk away with some extra money after listening to our show today. And something exciting this football Sunday, we've got receiver A.J. Brown, 49ers running back, wide receiver Chase Claypool, and Chiefs wide receiver Josh Gordon, all expected to play today. So we've got some big rejoining the games. Jaime, pretty exciting, right? All right, we're going to make a quick commercial break. You guys know you are ready for so things are happening right now. We'll be right back. Stay tuned right here to the show.
I'm back again with NFL Sharp Tommy the Hitman talking about his 3 best bets of the week, courtesy of BetPrep. Let's get right into it. There's a total you really like. It is the over in the Bengals-Packers game. Tell us why.
Yeah, so Joe Burrow emphasized throwing the ball deep after the Bears game, and it's working this season. He already has 4 touchdown passes on throws over 15 yards downfield, which is tied for the league lead. And in Burrow's 3 games this season, outside of that Bears game, he's averaged over 9.6 yards per attempt in all 3 of those games. And plus, without Joe Mixon, who I don't expect to play in this one, the Bengals are throwing at a 15% higher rate than with him. You know, Aaron Rodgers' pressure splits have been noticeable, but the Bengals only 24th in pressure rate. Bengals' run defense has been surprisingly good, so I think they're a little bit of a pass funnel this season. And Green Bay defensively, they're going to be playing this game without their 2 best pass rushers and their top corner in Jaire Alexander. You know, we know Green Bay is going to score. I think that the Bengals are going to be able to match them. Over it is.
Like that a lot. The Bengals, as you said, have thrown a lot more with Joe Mixon out of the lineup, and we're hearing they're just going to go with some sort of committee with Samaje Perine and Chris Evans, and really nobody that scares you. So I imagine they're going to put the ball in the air. But maybe the marquee matchup of the entire weekend, and what a lot of people believe is another AFC Championship game preview again this year, is the Chiefs and the Bills. Which side are you leaning to in this game?
Yeah, so I like Kansas City -2.5. And, you know, a lot's been made about the demise of the Chiefs, and this line's implying that these teams are basically equal, and I'm just not buying that. You know, the Chiefs' offense this season not only ranks first in EPA per play, but it's by a wide margin over number 2, the Arizona Cardinals. And, yeah, Buffalo's defense statistically looks elite, and the Chiefs' defense statistically looks absolutely awful. But let's consider the fact that the Chiefs' defense has went against the Browns offense, the Ravens, the Chargers, and the Eagles, while Buffalo's defense has faced Big Ben, Taylor Heineke, Jacoby Brissett, and Davis Mills. The Bills' defense couldn't stop the Chiefs in 2 matchups last year, and I don't think they're going to be able to stop them this year. So I found some value in anything with Kansas City under 3.
Last game we want to talk about here, it's another marquee AFC matchup. It's the Browns and the Chargers. Again, it's kind of getting swept under the rug because of the last game we talked about on the night game. But who do you favor in this matchup?
Yeah, so, you know, I like the Chargers -2. And the Browns are saying that Baker Mayfield's injury isn't a big deal, but his play has suffered since he tore his labrum in his left shoulder. The last 2 games, Baker is only completing 53% of his passes for 6 yards per attempt, and the eye test has said that he's missed some noticeably wide open receivers in those 2 games. The Chargers defense has held their 4 opponents this season to the least amount of points that they've scored in any of their 4 games, and those were some good offenses that they played against in the Cowboys and in the Chiefs and the Raiders. So, you know, I think that these teams have similar rosters, similar strong coaching staffs, but the big difference is the fact that the Chargers have a near elite quarterback and the Browns have one that's struggling to throw the ball right now. I like the Chargers anything under a field goal.
think Browns fans still remember that wide open miss to Odell Beckham Jr. late in that game, or somebody like me who might have had an Odell Beckham Jr. player prop. Not bitter whatsoever, but that's a great point, and we have some really great action this weekend. Tommy Hitman, thank you for joining me again this week. We will be back every single week as we break down the best bets courtesy of BetPrep.
All right, read in between.
Apologies, everyone, but welcome back into the Money Down right here, presented by BetPrep on the Draft Network's YouTube channel. Again, we had technical difficulties, but we're back. We've got week 5 of football to kick off. I'm your host, Kelsey Nicole Nelson, joined as always by the Draft Network's very own Jaime Eisner and Brentley Weissman. We already are looking forward to week 5. After all, we've already had a Geno Smith sighting. So I'm like, what else will week 5 bring? I'll start with you, Jaime. What are you most excited about?
Most excited for that Sunday Night Football matchup we're about to talk about. Bills, Chiefs, potential AFC Championship game preview. Can the Bills vanquish Mahomes? I'm really, really excited for that game tonight in some rainy weather there in Kansas City.
Yeah, the weather will be big, and also vanishing Patrick Mahomes. That seems hard to do, but can they do it? Brentley, what about you? What are you most excited about for today's slate of games?
Yeah, for me, it's really just the AFC matchups. We have the Chargers and Browns, 2 3-1 teams. We have the Chiefs and Bills. Those are arguably the 4 best teams in the conference, all competing against each other today. So excited to see really who wants to establish himself as the team to beat in the AFC.
In the AFC, and let's start with the AFC. We've got the Buffalo Bills versus the Kansas City Chiefs. And look, you all, the Chiefs and Bills meet on football night in America, one of our favorite nights as football fans, in a rematch of last year's AFC Championship game. The Chiefs are currently 3-point favorites. The total is 56.5, which happens to be actually the highest total of the game this season. Some are saying the Chiefs can't take the Bills too lightly, as Buffalo boasts the #1 defense in the entire league. Let's start with you first on this one. Jaime, what are your thoughts?
Well, my thoughts are the weather is going to make this a pretty close game. The Kansas City Chiefs have also struggled this year, and really going back to last year, as a team that doesn't really cover the spread, despite how good they have been in real life in their overall record. So I'm going to take the Bills and the points here. I think this rainy, wet, thunderstorm type of a game will keep the game tight. So I want to go with the 2 closely matched teams. Give me the team that's going to be getting some points in this matchup.
Thank you, Jaime. And now let's head over to you, Brentley. Will weather wreak havoc in this football game? What are we going to get, Brentley?
I think it's going to be a close game, as Jaime mentioned. The Bills have been playing some excellent football. I think they're leading the NFL in point differential, which obviously just speaks to their offense and defense, which is now number one in most statistical categories across the league. Look, the Kansas City Chiefs, with all of their talent, and I respect them a lot. I have a ton of respect for Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes, but they've been playing some sloppy football. In his last 7 games, Mahomes has 7 interceptions. Throughout this season, the Chiefs have 7 turnovers. That's only that's third behind just the Jets and the Jaguars. So they're not playing great football. That being said, I will never count the Chiefs out. They start slow, but I think ultimately at the end of the day, they have enough power to win this game. but I think the first half is going to be all Buffalo Bills. So give me the Bills money line first half.
Ooh, things are getting good already. And Brentley, you mentioned sloppy offense from Kansas City. I guess they're playing like they're barbecue in Kansas City, right? Sloppy barbecue, sloppy play. We've got to get it together in Kansas City. For my pick, look, the Bills are 3-1 on the season, but if you take a closer look, they have just not beaten any good teams, just not yet. You have to look at the paper, and I think the Chiefs at -2.5 was the best number since that is gone. I will go over on the total of 56.5. So again, taking the over of 56.5 for my picks. Ooh, this is going to be a good one. So excited for that game. And now staying in the AFC, let's head over to the Cleveland Browns in the Los Angeles Chargers game. This one will be a good battle of potential AFC playoff teams. All right. The Chargers are 2.5 home favorites and the total is 47. On the Brown side, Myles Garrett leads the league in sacks and he will look to continue to feast on quarterbacks. We know he can do it. And on the other side of the football, quarterback Justin Herbert, also on many lists as an early MVP candidate and a very favorite for that, with many calling him clutch, converting key third and longs. Life is looking good for the Chargers, all right, in the post-Phillip Rivers era. Let's start with you on this one, Brentley. Who do you have winning this game?
So, look, Myles Garrett, he's probably the favorite for the Defensive Player of the Year. He's outstanding. He's a rare player. But guess what? The Chargers rookie, Rashaan Slater, I'm not sure if you guys have watched him closely. He has been unbelievable. Honestly, I wish offensive tackles can win Rookie of the Year because he's deserving of that. I actually think he's going to win this battle against Myles Garrett, and Justin Herbert's going to have a ton of time to throw against a banged-up Browns secondary that's out Greg Newsome, their first-round corner, who has been playing really, really well. So I think the Chargers cover at home. Their offense is outstanding this year. They got the running game going last week against the Raiders with Austin Eckler. I think we're going over 100 yards and a couple touchdowns. The Chargers are clicking on all cylinders. Meanwhile, the Browns offense is struggling. Baker Mayfield's hurt. They barely put up 14 points against the Vikings. Give me the Chargers at home.
The Chargers at home. All right, Jamie, are you agreeing with Brentley? Are we going another direction?
No, I'm going to agree with Brentley here. Look, I look at this the same way. The Browns are really banged up right now, and it's not just Baker Mayfield.
We have to stop you really quick, Jamie, just because your audio right now is not the best. We know we're going to get you set back up because we do want to hear your pick. But while you're getting your audio together, I will chime in and give my pick. And look, the look-ahead line on this game had the Browns as -1.5 point favorites. Cleveland is playing their second straight real game this week. Last week, they scored an impressive victory over the Vikings. This will be a tough game, but the smart bet here, all right, is to take the points with the Browns. Give me Browns at +2.5, all right, +2.5 for the Cleveland Browns. The Cleveland Brown Mighty.
Baker over Herbert.
Look, sometimes this is why we love football, though, Brentley. You just never know what's going to happen. And I think Cleveland knows how big this game is, especially when you're looking at the AFC. Lots of great teams. Lots of great football, and every game will count, Brentley. So we'll see. Brentley, we've been on the opposite sides of the spectrum very often. So we'll see.
You've been kicking my butt, too, unfortunately.
I was going to say it in a much nicer way, Brentley, but I'll take that one. But again, we're going to work to get Jamie back into this one. But I think while we're getting Jamie back in, Brentley, are you ready to go to the next matchup? And I know we'll have to bring Jamie's back up on the screen later. All right, Brentley, let's see. We're going to go head-to-head again. Next, we've got the San Francisco 49ers facing off against the Arizona Cardinals. This is going to be a big game, all right, because Trey Lance gets the start as the 49ers are 5.5-point road dogs versus the undefeated Cardinals, the league's lone undefeated team. It must feel so good to say that, right? No losses on that schedule. The total in this game is 48.5. Many are talking about Kyler Murray also as an early MVP candidate in year 3, citing he's only becoming more lethal with experience leading an Arizona offense that is the league's highest scoring unit. They can put points on the board. No one's surprised by that. But also one thing to note, according to Adam Schefter, Cardinals running back Chase Edmonds is expected to play today. Let's go back to you, Brentley, for this one. Give me your thoughts on who's going to come out on top and victorious in this game.
Yeah, on paper, I think the obvious bet is the Cardinals. As you mentioned, they're 4-0. Kyler Murray's playing at an MVP level. The defense is actually clicking on all cylinders, which to me was a major question mark going into the season. But look, it's the NFL, and games in the NFC West are notoriously close. 5.5 points is a lot for me in this game. To me, this feels more like a field goal game. Kyle Shanahan, he has a lot of pride in this offense. He has a lot of pride in this football team. I think that with a full week to game plan and really figure out, the role for Trey Lance, he had a week to prepare. I think Trey Lance is going to come out and look a lot better than he did last week coming in for the relief in the Seahawks. So actually give me the 49ers and the points here, just because 5.5 is, to me, just feels like a lot for an NFC West showdown.
All right, Brentley, thanks so much for your pick. And look, now we'll go back to me. The total on this game is an absolute free fall. The total on this game actually opened up at 53.5 on PointsBet. It has since dropped to 48.5. I don't want to suggest taking the worst of the number, but since 2019, 57% of NFC West games, all right, 2019, 57% of NFC West games finish under the total. I'm staying with those numbers and give me the under 49 for this game. Under. I'm going under 48.5 for this game. All right, Brentley. Once again, I think, great football minds, but we'll see who reigns supreme and on top. But again, you all, we have such a great football Sunday. So we're going to march on to the next game, and hopefully we'll get Jaime back after our slate of games. But next, Brentley, we're going to go to Green Bay Packers versus Cincinnati Bengals. And this is one of the day's more interesting games, all right? The Packers are 3-point road favorites versus the Bengals. The total in this game is 50.5. It's no secret that the Green Bay Packers are dealing with a ton of injuries, but can 37-year-old quarterback Aaron Rodgers get the job done and get the dub for Green Bay? He will have his work cut out for him, as the Bengals look like one of the better passing defense this season, giving up the 5th lowest passer rating right now at 86.5. Something to watch, 2020 second team All-Pro Jesse Bates will ask Aaron Rodgers for an autograph if the DB gets an interception. I kind of want to see that, Brentley. I don't know. I'm like, I would love to see him ask for that autograph. So that could be a good positive in this game. But Brentley, give me your thoughts on this one.
Heck, if I'm Jesse Bates, I'm asking for an autograph too. Are you kidding me? It's freaking Aaron Rodgers, Hall of Famer. Honestly, to be honest, Kelsey, +3 for the Bengals just seems insane. The Packers are, since losing to the Saints in Week 1, have been playing outstanding football. Aaron Rodgers looks like the old MVP from last year. Devontae Adams unstoppable. They have Aaron Jones, and I just feel like the Bengals are getting so much credit for really beating sloppy teams. I mean, they beat the Vikings in overtime win in Week 1. They beat the Steelers, but the Steelers they're god awful. I mean, you can't get credit for that. And then last week against the Jaguars, the Bengals did everything they can to lose that game. The Jaguars had that game to win. They just fumbled the bag. So I just feel like this 3-1 Bengals team, which I have love for, isn't the same as a 3-1 Packers in terms of the talent on this roster. So give me the Packers here. I understand they have a lot of injuries, but ultimately Aaron Rodgers, Devontae Adams, the star-studded talent they have on offense, it's just too much for this Bengals team.
Yeah, it's going to be a lot to handle for the Bengals, but I will say I'm just glad to see the Bengals compete. I think for far too long, they've been kind of just under the radar in the AFC. So glad to see them again, at least competitive. And look, normally I tend to fade short road favorites, but the Packers, they're just a different case. I'm just going to be honest. Since 2019, the Packers are 7-2 on the money line as road favorites. I'm not saying to bet the Packers on the money line at -3, but I feel pretty safe. So give me Packers -3. Take it to the bank, feel comfortable with it, feel safe with it, and that's what I'm going for in this game. I think it's actually going to be a pretty good game, though. So we are in, again, for another great Sunday of NFL football. And we're going to keep on rolling, Brentley, to the next one. We've got the Philadelphia Eagles taking on the Carolina Panthers. And the Carolina Panthers host Jalen Hurts and the Philadelphia Eagles this afternoon. Carolina is actually a 3-point favorite. The total is 46 in this game. And following a Week 1 win over the Falcons, the Eagles have since lost 3 straight games. Both the Carolina Panthers and the Philadelphia Eagles have struggled on defense just a week ago, giving up a combined, get this everyone, 78 points to the Cowboys and the Chiefs, respectively. I thought defense wins championships, but so far we want to see much, much more from these two teams. Brentley, give me your thoughts on this matchup.
Yeah, as you mentioned, both defenses are struggling. And I know Carolina's defense was the talk of the town through the first 3 weeks, but when you really start to look about who they played, this, it might be a little suspect. I mean, they played a struggling Jets team. James had 5 turnovers, which he normally does time and time again. And then they played Davis Mills-led Texans. So they kind of got exposed against Dak Prescott and Ezekiel Elliott. And I have love for Phil Snow, but you can't be running light boxes against that kind of power running team. So I think ultimately this game is going to be the over. Both of these offenses can score points. Jalen Hurts has been phenomenal. Devontae Smith went over 100 yards last week. He's coming to his own. They have a strong running game in Miles Sanders and Kenneth Gainwell. And on the Panthers offense, DJ Moore is looking like an all-pro player. Sam Darnold's coming into his own and Joe Brady's scheme. I think Chuba Hubbard is going to get it going against this Eagles defense, which ranks 31st in a rushing defense. So they're terrible at stopping the run. So give me the over here. I think we're going to see a ton of points. And I love this matchup. This is going to be one of the best games of the weekend.
Yeah, I agree. One of the best games of the weekend. And I'm glad you shouted out DJ Moore. He's a fellow Terp. # he's a Terp. So we know he's going to be playing some great football. And for my pick, the Panthers will look to get back on the winning track as they host the Eagles this Sunday. Carolina is a better team than Philadelphia, but the Eagles have played well at times this season. We have to give credit where credit is due. The game opened up with the Eagles as a 4-point underdog so far this season. Road underdogs, folks, are 25-14 against the spread, which is 64% of the time. So I'm going with the Eagles at +3. Eagles +3 is my pick. I'm believing, I'm believing that they can get the job done. All right, so we'll see what happens in this game. Brentley, I'm also excited for this one. I feel like it's kind of an underrated matchup, but I think it's going to be really, really good football. All right, these matchups this Sunday have me and Brentley both super excited. I know Jamie as well. He's watching, also excited, and we'll have to put his picks in the chat. But we hope to bring more excitement with you all to this show. Coming up, we've got our new prop bet wheel, and we'll also touch on the game happening currently across the pond. Stay tuned.
Hey everyone, Brentley Weissman here over at the Draft Network. I want to take you through my second edition of the 2022 NFL Mock Draft. Let's go. everyone. Thank you for checking out my second edition of my 2022 NFL mock draft. Please make sure to like this video, hit the subscribe button, and also leave a comment in the comment section. Also, be sure to head over to thedraftnetwork.com where we have all of your college football and NFL draft needs.
All right, hello everyone, and thanks so much for staying with us right here on the Money Down, presented by BetPrep on the Draft Network's YouTube channel with Brentley Weissman and me, Kelsey Nicole Nelson. Now, one quick update for you all tuning into the show. Unfortunately, Jaime Eisner won't be able to come back on the show and join us just due to technical difficulties. It happens, we're in a COVID world, but of course, we're excited to get Jaime back next week on the show. But until then, me and Brentley are going to hold you all down, so don't fear, don't fret. All right, before we go to the player prop section of the show, because we had an early NFL game taking place, which I know many of you all are watching across the pond, we wanted to get your thoughts, Brentley, on this game, which right now looks like it's actually a competitive football game, right? 20-17, Brentley?
Yeah, in typical Atlanta fashion, I think they were up 20-3 at half. And here we go, watching them choke down the stretch. But what I will say, and my take on this game is, finally Arthur Smith begins to utilize Kyle Pitts. 9 receptions, 120 yards, a touchdown. They're finally treating him like the number one option, which he should be and is. He's a rare talent. You took your number 4 overall over all sorts of quarterbacks, which is a move I disagreed with, but if you're finally going to start utilizing like this, maybe it's something I can get on with. So really happy to see Kyle Pitts emerging as a playmaker in this offense, and hopefully this continues. But we'll see if the Falcons can hang on. But again, this is kind of par for the course for this franchise. If you're a Falcon fan, start drinking because here we are again. So it should be a good finish.
I saw the skepticism in your face when you said that. It's like blown leads and Falcons just go too much hand in hand. They did it only last week, right? And then once again now, we even put them overseas and they're still finding a way to do it. I think we're going to be in for a very good finish. What do you think it'll say about this Falcons team, though, Brentley, if they're not able to get the win today and let the Jets of all teams come back against them?
Says the curse. I mean, they're absolutely cursed.
That's it.
The Falcons are a much better team than the Jets. Offensively, they actually have some talent. Mike Davis, Cordell Patterson. I know Calvin Ridley's out for personal matters, and you still have Matt Ryan. I mean, I can't really explain to me how they would lose this game against the Jets. So if they lose this game after being up 20-3 at half, they're cursed.
That's it. Point blank simple. Sorry, Atlanta. Me and Brentley wish you could send better things, but hopefully they are able to pull it out. Like you said, they have weapons. Kyle Pitts has been balling this football game. I saw Hayden Hurst also got involved in the action. And we talked about Patterson, who many were watching Brentley for their fantasy teams. All right. So many eyes are on that game for that very reason. So hopefully everyone having fantasy has also a great day of football. All right, Brentley, are you ready to get into player props?
Let's do it. Yeah. Course.
All right, let's do it. So I know those who watch our show all the time, you're used to our player prop. We'll bring that back because, look, we need three's a crowd for that one. So when we get Jaime back next week, we'll bring that back. But until then, we are going to do our regular player props. So I'm going to throw it at Brentley. He's going to handle it. Brentley is a man, all right, y'all. He said he can handle it by himself. He can do it. And we're going to get through 5 players in today's game. So Brentley, to kick it off, let's talk about Kenny Golladay. New York Giants wide receiver. Give me your over and under reception, receiving yards, 58 and a half, 58 and a half. What are your thoughts on this one?
Yeah, so I like Kenny Galladay as a player. I think he went over 100 yards last week against the Saints, so he's obviously a big focal point in that offense. That being said, I call this the Trayvon Diggs effect. He is playing such good football for the Dallas Cowboys. He's honestly a favorite for the Defensive Player of the Year, which after last year, his rookie year, he struggled big time. This turnaround, this development to me has been outstanding. I think Trayvon Diggs is going to hold Kenny Galladay to under 58 and a half receiving yards. Joe Judge already said that he wants to get Kadarius Toney, Evan Ingram more involved in the offense. I think Daniel Jones is going to spread the ball out much more than just Kenny Galladay. So give me here this under.
All right, Brentley. Well, we're here. We're here because I'm also going to take Kenny Galladay with the under in this game. So look, we're already feeling good vibes, but I think everything you said. So I'm not expecting as big of a game as they look to work that offense. All right, let's go to number 2. We're going to give some love to Jared Goff, the Detroit Lions quarterback. I feel like I'm still getting used to saying that. I'm sure he's probably still getting used to being there as well. But let's go to this one, 1.5 pass touchdowns. Brentley, over under.
I'm going the under here, and it's not because I don't like Jared Goff. And let me just say real quick, Matt Stafford hasn't been playing well over the last 2 weeks. And if Jared Goff was missing the same throws that Matt Stafford was missing, he'd be getting killed. But that's a conversation for another day. I just wanted to get that out there. But I'm going under here, and it's not because of Jared Goff. It's because it's the Detroit Lions offensive line. No Taylor Ducker, no Frank Ragnow. Penei Sewell, if he's active, is already banged up. I think the Vikings defensive line, which is playing pretty well, Danielle Hunter is going to have a field day against this banged up Detroit Lions offensive line. So give me the under here just simply because I don't think this offense will be able to move the ball enough for Jared Goff to have the chances to get over 2 touchdowns.
Yeah, I feel like, Brentley, you started a conversation that I actually did want to have because I think you're absolutely right. Like, let Jared Goff be doing the same thing. It's just like a love relationship, I guess, we all have with Matt Stafford. Like, oh, it's okay. He can do that. He'll be fine. But Jared Goff does it, and he's just crucified and vilified. And I think that's why we are wishing him some luck, hopefully, in Detroit. But also with this one, all right, Brentley, once again, I'm going to take the under as well. I think you're hitting it on the mark. You know, Brentley, I think something you drank or something you ate today is just giving you all the good vibes. Because once again, Brentley,
it's the coffee.
We're all the same. It's the coffee. Didn't I say that? All right. The bad omen turned into something good for you for these betting picks. I can't wait to get the leaderboard next week after this week, Brentley. All right, let's stay with these player prop picks. Antonio Brown. Let's talk about Tampa Bay Buccaneers wide receiver. We're talking about 75 receiving yards over under Brentley.
I'm going the over here. You know, he had 63 receiving yards last week against the Patriots. Well, that should have been a lot more. You know, he easily could have been over 100 yards. He had a couple of drops on some tough catches, but he's been getting open. To me, he looks like the AB of old. And I know the Dolphins secondary has a ton of talent. Byron Jones, Xavier Howard, Javon Holland, shout out Oregon Ducks. But I think they are going to be more focused on Mike Evans and Godwin. So I think Antonio Brown's going to get a lot of single coverage options. He's not going to be, facing Xavier Howard and those lockdown guys. Give me the over here. I think he's in it for a big game.
All right, Brentley, you're hot right now because you're 3 for 3. I'm also taking Antonio Brown with the over. If you watch the show, this has not always happened for me and Brentley. This is like an anomaly, but hopefully a good anomaly happening for us both. Because right now we're in the same mind, right? We're sharing the mind right now for these picks. And you know what? Let's go back to quarterbacks for our next one. I want to talk about Trey Lance getting his first NFL start today. San Francisco 49ers quarterback, 29.5 passing attempts. All right, Brentley, give me your thoughts on this one. Are you riding high with Trey?
I am, but not for his passing. I think this game plan is going to come down to him using his legs. Trey Lance last week against the Seahawks, he wasn't great throwing the football. He really was inaccurate and made some really awkward decisions, but he was able to move the offense with his legs, picking up yards and scrambling. And I also think Kyle Shanahan knows the key to winning this game is to slow this game down. That means running the football and playing good defense. So give me the under here because I think he's really going to commit to the run and they're getting Elijah Mitchell back from injury. Trey Sermon's actually looking pretty good. I think they're going to try to run this football. So give me the under on 29.5 passing attempts.
Yeah, look, first NFL start, you got to ease them into the football game. So I'm also
Exactly.
like you, I'm also taking that under right now. So we're either going to both feel really good next week or both going to feel really bad next week. All right, one of the two next week. Let's see if we can go 5 for 5 with this last one. Let's head over to Damian Harris, New England Patriots running back. Let's look at his receiving yards over under 8.5. Brentley, give me your thoughts.
This is probably my favorite prop of the weekend, honestly. He had 2 receptions for 30 yards last week against the Bucs. I know he's not known for his receiving chops, but without James White, who was check down Jones going to throw to? You know, I mean, in terms of, running backs out of the backfield, it has to be Damian Harris. If he gets 1 reception, we have a solid chance of hitting this over. So give me the over here, because I do think check down Jones is going to be looking to his backs for those easy completions against the Texans. So give me the over here on receiving yards for Damian Harris.
All right, we did it. We're 5 for 5, Brentley, because I'm also agreeing with you on this one. I'm taking the over for Damian Harris. Fingers crossed. Fingers crossed for next week, Brentley, that we are putting some good vibes into the world with these player props and picks. And again, next week, Jamie will join us back here to also give his picks. But Brentley, I think you held it down well. And I don't know, maybe it's just something. Me and you, somehow we're connected, even though we're in 2 different parts of the country, but our minds at least are on the same level.
Great minds think alike.
There you go. Great minds think alike. All right, that'll do it for this section of the player prop. Don't go there, as we will return with more NFL as we go over our BetPrep breakdown. Stay tuned.
And I'll be honest, I think he's one of the worst running backs in football. When I watch him, I don't think I almost think he shouldn't be in the NFL.
I am back here with BetPrep's player prop sharp Brad Feinberg, back with another handful of player props for week 5 in the NFL. Brad, let's get right into it. Let's talk about the GOAT, because you have a Tom Brady prop right off the bat here. Tell us what you like.
You know, it's interesting, Jamie. Again, it's an obscure prop. I get it, but it's a winning prop. Tom Brady's rushing yards, 3.5. Look, we know Tom Brady can pass the ball pretty well, but Jamie, we also know he doesn't run the ball very well. He doesn't run the ball very often, and he's just really not that good at it. Look, I went to BetPrep site, researched it. When I saw this, I'm like, doesn't Tom Brady always get like 0? Plus, Jamie, you get the end of the game when they're up 10-point favorite, he can get negative. He could have 5 yards and go, lost 1 yard, lost 1 yard, lost 1 yard. Boom, we cash our ticket. 37-13 this last 50, 74%. I'm going to go, what's he done the last 2 years? 15-5 the last 20, 75%. So to me, what has fundamentally changed? He didn't get faster. I like this bet very much. I think it's a 75% winning bet. I mean, there's nothing to make me think that it isn't.
Let's stick with another Tampa Bay Buccaneer and another under you like here. Antonio Brown, 5.5 catches. Why are you going to take the under on this prop?
Look, I love Antonio Brown, Jamie, and I'm going to stress this every single week I'm on the show. I bet numbers, not players, right? Now, if this over-under was 3.5 for Antonio Brown, like, Brad, why do you like the over? I'm betting a number, not the player. Let me make that clear. Look, Antonio Brown, I'm just doing the math on it. He's averaging 4.5. That's what the number should be, Jamie. The number should be 4.5. His last 11 games, he's gone under this since he's really become – I'm not talking Pittsburgh Antonio Brown here. Let me make that clear, okay? As the old Rick Pitino statement is, Parrish, McHale, and Bird aren't walking through the door, okay? The Pittsburgh Antonio Brown, I don't think, is walking through the door. So since he's been to Tampa Bay, 9-2 to this under. That translates to over 80%. He's averaging 4.5. They made it 5.5. Jamie, again, I'm going to dare him to get 6. It's really that simple. I mean, I just think the math on it is in my favor, and I think they made it 1 catch too high.
Sticking with wide receivers, there's another player that's perennially underrated but had a really nice game recently. That's Hunter Renfro. Let's get some more positivity for this prop. We like the over here. Tell everybody about it.
Jamie, it's funny. I agree with you. Like, I think he actually just, look, I think part of this is actually just watching the games, getting a feel on who's involved, who isn't. I mean, obviously Waller's his top target, but in terms of the receivers, Jamie, I actually feel dare I say, comfortable. Hunter Renfro is the top guy. He's getting 7.5 targets a game. He's averaging 63 yards a game this year. Now, I'm going to go by what he's done this year. He's 4-0 to the over, averaging 63 yards. They made the over under 43.5. I just think it's too light. Look, I understand last year he wasn't as strong. I get it. But I'm playing for the 2021 season. I think he obviously seems to have, at least in my opinion, an expanded role. I like the way Derek Carr is looking. I think he looks great. Again, he's getting 7.5 targets a game, getting 63 yards a game. I would have made this over under probably in the low 50s. So I'm going to take a stab at over 43.5.
I'm with you 100% on this one. One of my fantasy football bold predictions was that Renfro was going to be the most productive Raiders wide receiver this year, and that's really kind of where we're trending. Love the talent of Henry Ruggs and Bryan Edwards and some of the other pieces, but in terms of consistent production, Hunter Renfro has been that guy.
I will not fall. The Charlie Brown when he was holding the field goal and he fell on his face? That is Bryan Edwards to me. Don't ever mention his name to me while we're on the phone again, because my fantasy football partner – because I 2 straight years I led him down that road, so that will not happen a 3rd straight year. But anyway, side note on that.
We'll be sure to mention that we're not going to see a lot of Bryan Edwards props coming up, so I will note that going forward.
I appreciate it, Jamie.
But there's another receiver. He had a big game last week. Him and Justin Fields really connected, but you're not buying into back-to-back big games for him. He's been a little bit up and down this year. That's Bears receiver Darnell Mooney. Why do you like the under on his receiving yards here?
Jamie, look, I'm just going to look listen, I'm smart enough to admit I could be saying this wrong, that maybe Darnell Mooney is the guy there. And maybe, look, it's like certain people like certain people, right? And maybe Justin Fields just loves Darnell Mooney and that's just going to be his guy. Could it be? Absolutely could. And I'll take my medicine if I'm wrong. But when I look at his career, 14-6 to the under here, I think it's a little aggressive. And look, I'll be honest, this is every bit as much a fade to me on Justin Fields. I'm going to dare this guy to throw for 51 yards, let alone 51 yards to one individual receiver. I think he's still, I don't know. I have not been impressed. Maybe others have. I personally haven't. And I just have no confidence in this passing game at all. And again, 14-6 in his career. Now he's 2-2 to the over this year. So he's gone over half the time. And you're right. Last week he had a great game. And he's a talented player. This is more, I'm being honest, Jamie, this is more me fading the Bears offense, so to speak, not so much the player. This is more, I don't know if the quote unquote de facto number 2 receiver is going to get 51 yards, at least 45% of the time. And I don't think he does. So I'm going to play this under and I'm going to take my chances.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to The Money Down, airing live on the Draft Network's YouTube channel, presented by BetPrep. It's now that time for a BetPrep breakdown with special guest Patrick Everson of Props US in conjunction with BetPrep. Let's bring Patrick on in. Patrick, hey, how are you this NFL Sunday?
I'm good this morning, Kelsey. How are you?
I'm fantastic. So many people eagerly watching our show, ready to get their picks in, and so let's get to it. To kick things off, I want to ask you, Patrick, are the New York Football Giants, are they getting any love from bettors today?
Well, not a lot of love, I would say. Dallas is clearly going to be a public play today. But I'll tell you this, at BetMGM Nevada, it did go from 7.5 to 7, Dallas 7.5 to 7. However, even though that line came down, tickets 5 to 1, money about 2.5 to 1 on the Cowboys spread. But the respected players, sharp bettors, actually took the Giants earlier in the week at that plus 7.5. Happy to take that number with the hook. So we'll see. It's a little bit of a pros versus Joes game with the public definitely on the Cowboys today.
Yeah, look, no surprise there. Cowboys have been playing some great football, and we also know about that fan base. Heading to our next game, Patrick, I want to ask you, Who is the public backing, the Las Vegas Raiders or the Chicago Bears?
Well, here in Vegas, look, this has been an upside-down thing all season, Kelsey, especially since they got out great in the Monday Nighter against Baltimore, winning that game in overtime.
Right.
They've been getting heavily bet, especially for home games. But today's going to be a pretty interesting dynamic because I can tell you, I'm at Melee Bay Sportsbook. If you could tear down this wall behind me, you could probably hit a driver to Allegiant Stadium. It's that close. It's literally right across the highway. Chicago fans will be at this game today en masse, I guarantee it. So there's going to be some pretty good play on Chicago. BetMGM Nevada, 3.5 to 1 ticket count in favor of 3.5 to 1 money in favor of Raiders, 2 to 1 tickets in favor of Raiders. And again, not a surprise because it's a home game, but I wouldn't be surprised if you look at the picture nationally that Chicago gets some pretty decent play here. This line went from Raiders 5.5 to 4.5 back to 5.5.
Yeah, so definitely another game we'll be watching. And as you said, we know Chicago Bear fans will show up and show out. And heading to another game happening this NFL Sunday, I want to ask you, are the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, are they the most bet-on team of the week so far?
They are not the most bet-on team of the week so far, but they are, Kelsey, taking a lot of parlay money. They're in a lot of people's parlays, and especially at that number, actually up to minus 11 this morning at BetMGM, up a full point just this morning from 10 to 11. They're in everybody's parlays, teasers, moneyline parlays for sure. They feel like the Bucs are kind of one of those slam dunk teams. So that's certainly going to be a need. In fact, Jason Scott with BetMGM nationally said this morning, he told me this morning that via text that there's plenty of that going on with the Bucs, and the Dolphins are definitely going to be in need there. They'd love Miami to at least cover. Anything beyond that would be gravy.
Anything beyond that would be gravy. And heading to our last question for you, Patrick, what side of the total are people betting in the Denver Broncos versus Pittsburgh Steelers game?
That's a really good question that I don't have the answer in front of me for, but I can tell you, I'm just flipping through my notes on Broncos Steelers to see if we've got any info that leads me right to the total. Not on the total, but I will tell you this: I'm gonna with Denver's quarterback situation a little murky.
Right.
I mean, Bridgewater coming off a concussion and so forth, and the Steelers just not playing well. This and that Patriots-Texans game, two of the lowest totals we've seen all season long. So certainly the odds makers don't have a very high expectation of a high-scoring game today, but it's a pretty low number in both of those games. I'm tempted to do a parlay of the over on the Patriots-Texans and the Broncos-Steelers just because that number is below 40. It's probably a stupid bet, but I might do it anyway.
So much temptation, Patrick. So much temptation. As always, Patrick, we want to thank you so much for joining us, and we look forward to seeing you next Sunday.
Great. Thanks, Kelsey. You guys have a great day.
All right. Thanks again. And a special thanks, as always, to Patrick Efferson for joining us. And don't go anywhere, as coming up next, we will have our Go for Two picks and this week's bold bet. So stay tuned because more of the Money Down is next.
Hey everyone, Brentley Weissman here over at the Draft Network. I want to take you through my second edition of the 2022 NFL Mock Draft. Let's go. everyone. Thank you for checking out my second edition of my 2022 NFL Mock Draft. Please make sure to like this video, hit the subscribe button, and also leave a comment in the comment section. Also, be sure to head over to thedraftnetwork.com where we have all of your college football and NFL draft needs.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back into the Money Down, where it is now time to see our leaders after 4 weeks of football action as we check out how we both did last week. Let's now switch it over to our leaderboard. Oh, I'm hurt, Brentley. I knew I moved down. All right. So we'll give Jaime some props and some credit. And look, the one time he's not here with us is when we could really sing his praises. Brentley, you're doing a bit better, right, from last week?
You definitely made some improvements. I still have yet to get a go for two right. You know, last week I was killed by the Raiders not covering 3.5, but you know, we'll see. We'll see for this week. I'm feeling better. I'm feeling better though, for sure.
Long as you are feeling better, again, we're sending good vibes your way. Look, we got an extra game this NFL season, so at least 1 week, Brentley, one of these have to go your way, and you're going to get it right. I feel it. All right, now that we see that we all have some work to do, I think we can all be honest. Let's get ready for our go for two picks, and then we'll go to our bold bets. But to kick off the go for two, let's start with you, Brentley. Give me your first one.
Yeah, so my first one here is going to be Marvin Jones over 4.5 receptions. Without DJ Chark, who unfortunately got injured last week as a season-ending injury, Trevor Lawrence is going to be force-feeding Marvin Jones the ball. Even before Chark was out, Jones was still his number one receiver. In the first 3 weeks of the season, Jones went over 5 receptions, and then 6 receptions, and he's averaging almost 7 targets per game. Last week against the Bengals, he only had 3 receptions, but that was a little bit of an anomaly. So I think Jones is going to have a huge game against the Titans because Lawrence and the Jaguars offense knows they need to throw the football. The Titans can't stop a nosebleed covering the pass. So give me Jones here over 4.5 receptions. I think he has a huge game.
All right, calling a huge game for him. And for my first go for two pick, I decided to stay right here in my area of the DMV. I'm looking at this New Orleans Saints versus Washington football team game. So far this season, the Saints offense, they just have not looked as explosive in years past. And we know Drew Brees is gone and it's a new era for the Saints football team. But the good news is today that they do get the Washington football team defense, which quite frankly have not lived up to the hype that they've been getting since the beginning of this season. And some are saying it's not much of a defense. And it hurts for me to say that even though I'm here in the DC area. So for this one, for my go for two, I'm taking the over of 43.5 for my first go for two pick. All right. Taking the over in that game. All right, Brentley, are you ready for your second one?
Let's do it.
All right, so let's go to the second
one. I'm actually going with a game that I will be heading out to shortly. I'm in Vegas, people, for watching the Raiders and Bears game. And apologies, Mom, who's in the other room, but I'm going to go with Damian Williams, anytime touchdown scorer. So I think Damian Williams is one of the best backup running backs in the NFL, going all the way back to the Dolphins. I mean, he's to me is phenomenal. Height, weight, speed. He has athleticism. He's explosive. He's powerful. I think he's going to be a huge factor in this game. Justin Fields, his presence in the offense has helped this rushing attack. David Montgomery, before going out with an injury last week, was phenomenal because defenses have to respect Fields keeping the ball with his legs. So that opens a ton of rushing room for the backs. The Raiders got exposed in terms of their run defense last week against Austin Eckler. I think Damian Williams is going to have a huge game today. I think he's easily going to get one touchdown, whether it's catching the ball or just running it. So give me this. Damian Williams is going to skate in the end zone against the Raiders.
I feel like going against mom should be your bold bet. That's very bold and very brave of you, Brentley, especially when she's right next to you. So hopefully she didn't hear what you were saying. But for my second go for two, I'm heading over to the New York Football Giants facing off against the Dallas Cowboys. Like the New York Giants are trying to win their second straight road game this week when they face their division rivals. But the Cowboys are the only team right now in the league that is undefeated against the spread. They are the only team that's undefeated against the spread. Dak Prescott is 6-3 against the spread versus the New York Giants. So with my edge, I'm taking the Cowboys at -7.5. All right, -7.5 or -7 now since we've updated our numbers. All right, that is my second go for two. Let's now you can bring the bold bet, Brentley. Now we want to see as bold as you can get. Let's see what your bold bet is for this week.
I'm actually sticking with your last go for two pick, and it's going to be the Giants money line. Look, I know the Cowboys, everyone's riding high on the Cowboys. They looked phenomenal last week against Carolina, but the Giants looked pretty good too. You know, they beat the Saints in overtime. Daniel Jones is starting to find his rhythm. Kadarius Toney's becoming a factor in this offense. And NFC East games are traditionally close. You know, I think the Giants and Dallas Cowboys, it's never a blowout. It's never a one-sided affair. So I like the Giants winning this game, actually. I know it might shock some people, but I think this is a game where Saquon Barkley has a huge performance. I think Dallas's defense is a little inflated, in my opinion. So give me the Giants here in a huge upset. This would be a huge upset, but give me the Giants.
Yeah, not believing in the D in Dallas. You still have questions about that defense. You're saying, hey, stop the hype. Let's see some more football. I'm also going to have a bold bet, so this might surprise people in the comments. I feel like me and Brentley took bold to a whole nother level. So for my bold bet, look, Justin Fields, he will lead the Bears to victory on the road versus the Raiders.
Man.
And Brentley's going to give us a firsthand account of that game. PointsBet has the Bears at +195 on the money line. All right. So it's bold bet, people. All right. This is what we said. Go big or go home on this show. And that's exactly what Brentley and I did. Brentley, we hope you have fun at the game. Next week, you're going to have to give us a recap of how that atmosphere is. I know it's going to be crazy.
It's going to be awesome. I've been to the stadium before. It's truly a great venue. So hopefully for a Raiders win, so everyone here at my house is happy. But I think it should be a good game. Fields is going to have a phenomenal game. So excited for this upcoming matchup for sure.
Awesome. Excited for that matchup. And Brentley, as always, thanks so much for a great show. And to all of you, we appreciate you tuning in. And we'll hope you join us next week for a brand new show. Of course, fingers crossed. I don't think we'll have any technical difficulties next week. But as always, be sure to hit that subscribe button to never miss an episode. All right. Each and every Sunday, we'll be here 11:45 a.m. Eastern Time sharp. This is the NFL Money Down Show presented by BetPrep. Coming to you all again each and every Sunday morning. And also on Saturday mornings, check out the college version of the show before a full slate of college football games. See you all soon and enjoy today's games of football. Bye, guys.